resilience in your life. It actually has about 40 pages of workbook in the beginning so that you can really give some thought to what is resilience? How do I find resilience in my life? How do I find all these different practices of resilience? What are some of the ways that I can integrate these into my life? So it gives you plenty of time to kind of digest these ideas and to incorporate them in your own life. And then there's a section where you can keep track of your own weekly resilience practices. And so there, I've separated out into morning and afternoon and evening so that you can really keep tabs on how you are finding resilience in your days. And you could either do it in a scheduling kind of way, like I'm going to do this in the morning, I'm going to do this in the afternoon, I'm going to do this in the evening. Or it could be more of a reflective, looking back and saying, how did I find resilience in my day? And it could be a way of journaling in some ways of your weeks. So there's quite a large section of each day of the week throughout the entire year so that you can mark and keep track of your own resilience. And then the second thing that I wanted to invite you to be a part of, if you are interested, is the Habits for the Spirit course. And I led this last year, and it was a really amazing experience. It was actually, when I led it last year, it was over 2 months, and that was quite a long time to focus on these habits for the spirit. And although many people did stay with me to the end, I think the kind of the newness of the new year may have worn off by that stage. Like New Year felt like ages by the end of February. So what I've done this year is I've actually squashed it all into a 10-day course where so last year I did an hour-long sessions where they were pre-recorded. This time I'm doing half-hour pre-recorded sessions. And then I'm inviting, if you would like to add on a group coaching session to that, then we will be meeting on. So the first part will be like this, where it's a webinar, and it'll be half an hour of a lesson on all the different 7 spiritual practices I've just talked about. And then the final one is on habits for your spirit, and it's establishing a way of life in which you are incorporating these spiritual practices for resilience. But so we're going to do 30 minutes of a lesson like this, and then I'm going to meet those who have that add-on bit to join me in a Zoom room, and we're going to talk about it. And one of the things I love is actually kind of going over what's challenging, what are the obstacles, what's holding us back, and really trying to pave a way together for how you can find resilience in your life. This is what I do on retreats with people, but I really want to invite you to be a part of that as you begin your new year. So it'll be from the 6th to the 16th, 10 days of delving into the habits for the spirit, and I would love for you to join me if you would like. This course is for you if you long for spiritual practices that fit real life and are not sort of just dreamy ideals. If you want rhythms and not rigid rules, I'm really not about setting rules to follow, but more of a way of life that we're trying to live out. If you've tried to start fresh before and want something that lasts, you want formation and not just information. So you want a chance to really delve in and experience, and then come away with that, with a deeper sense of what that means in your life. And what does this course help you do? It builds spiritual practices that cultivate well-being in body, mind, and spirit, that builds resilience without pressure or perfection. Why most habits don't stick. This is something I've discovered partly through leading this course and also just through spiritual direction and retreat leadership. We rely on motivation, which often fades away. We might have spurts of motivation, but we don't always stick with things because they sort of fade out. We try to do it alone. We don't actually use the support that might be around us and available. And in this case, support that I want to offer is so that you don't feel like you have to do it alone, but you can do it with others. We expect consistency in an inconsistent life. So what we need is practices that are flexible, that can shift and change depending on what life throws our way. And so I think all these 7 spiritual practices can be woven in and out of our lives and can help us move through the ups and downs, back at that resilience zone and that wave that goes up and down. They will help us to manage our day-to-day life. Habits for the Spirit offers a different way. Gentle structure, small repeatable practices, rhythms instead of goals, grace instead of guilt. I never ever want you to feel that I'm telling you to do something, and then if you don't do it, I'm holding that against you in some way, because I really believe that God is so gracious to us, and that God just wants our love and our attention. And these are some small ways that we can begin to show that, and to yes, we'll fail over and over again, but we can keep coming back and keep returning to these practices. What makes this course different? It's not a productivity system. It's not about achievement. It's about transformation. And it's about transforming ourselves into who we are meant to be, who we are becoming. Not so much about what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, but how we are being in the world. And we must remember that at the heart of resilience is the ability to respond to the challenges that come at us in life. And we know that there have been many difficult circumstances in the world, and I'm sure that we all have different responses to those. And we want to be forces for good in the world. We want to serve. We want to be a part of bringing God's love, mercy, justice, and peace into this world. And that is the kind of transformation we are looking for. How Habits for the Spirit works: it's going to be thoughtful, short daily teachings, simple practices that you can begin immediately. We've even tried some of those practices in short spurts today. We don't need a lot of time. Weekly rhythm building guidance, and invitation to reflection and integration. You'll experience a steadier inner rhythm, greater awareness of God's presence in all aspects of life, practices that adapt to your season, less starting over, and more staying rooted. So I want to invite you to, if you'd like to get the planner as a sort of, physical, you can either print it out, or we actually have a paperback version that is coming out very, very shortly. I'll be emailing about that soon. You can order it from Amazon. So if you prefer like a printed out bound version, you could get that, or you could just print out the pages of the printable version. But it gives you structure and it gives you something to work with. But then in addition, there's this course that can add that element of teaching, and then help these rhythms to take root and endure a little bit more. And then there's also the opportunity to join in the group coaching, so that you can go into the new year with support. If you're ready to move from intention to formation, I would love to welcome you into Habits for the Spirit. So the details are, as I've said a little bit, but just here you have it written out. January 6th to 16th. Begins on Tuesday, January 6th, and it will end, I didn't mean to write 10th, I meant to write 16th. It ends on January 16th, which is the next Friday. So you're going to have an introduction on Tuesday, and then you're going to have lessons until Friday. And then the next week, it'll be Monday through Friday. Optional group coaching add-on via Zoom immediately following the session. And then you might be wondering, how much is this going to cost, Karen? Because, even if it sounds interesting, it sounds good, is this going to cost an arm and a leg? I think this is a pretty reasonable cost for an 8-module course. And I am actually giving a discount if you purchase this by January 1st. So it's a 20% discount if you order that before the 1st. So the live recorded lessons that are in this kind of format for half an hour each day, that's going to be $37. And then if you want the group coaching add-on, that would be a total of $77. So that you get the recorded lessons and you get the group coaching for $77. And then with both of those, you actually get the planner as well. So if some of you have already bought the planner, I'll have you pay the difference if you want to join the course. So that's what we're looking at right now. If you want to go deeper, this is what I am offering. I'm inviting you to be a part of. The people who were on the course last year, especially those who really were able to kind of come all the way through it, found it to be really, really enriching. And then many of them actually joined the Deeper Well membership community afterwards, which I started a few months later, realizing that people really needed like longer term support, and that it would be really nice to have a community in which we could come together and continue to explore this stuff together. So we formed the Deeper Well community, which also you would be welcome to join after the Habits for the Spirit course if you'd be interested. So if you're wondering, what is my next step after this, Karen? You could just purchase the planner for $11.99 for just to have that physical thing to look at and to really go through that workbook in the beginning, and then to have those pages to reflect and mark resilience practices throughout the entire year. You could get the planner and you could get the Habits for the Spirit course for $37 if you order by the 1st. And then you could do the planner, the Habits for the Spirit course, and the group support add-on for $77 if you would like to go even deeper in the next couple weeks between now and the 16th. And actually, if you do the group support, we're going to end on the 19th, which is the following Monday, with a celebration time, because I wanted to have a chance just to kind of gather for a full session when we're not trying to cover content as well. So there's a lot there with the group coaching add-on. So here we are. We've come to the end. Thank you so much for sticking with me. And sorry, I am seeing a few questions here. Some people have to leave, and that's totally fine. Let me see if I can. Okay, this is in US dollars. Yes, this is in US dollars. It is, because it's kind of more of a global currency, so I always do things in dollars. What time is the group support add-on? It would be actually right after the lesson, the recorded lesson. It would be, so the recorded lesson is in my time, 3 p.m. It is 3 p.m. Ireland time, which is 10 a.m. Eastern time and 7 a.m. Pacific time. Okay. And then the group support add-on would be right after that. It would be, so like say I'd do a lesson for about half an hour, and then I'd say, let's meet in the Zoom room, and there'll just be one room for the entire time. And then so for each day, you'll just go to the same Zoom link each time. It's like a community room. And I'll just meet you there. Like maybe we'll have a 5-minute, comfort break or something, but we'll meet there and we'll just immediately start talking about whatever it was that I covered in the lesson. So the idea is that you hear some teaching, and if that's all you need and that's all you want, that's fine. And you can just do the kind of, the live recorded version, which is similar to what we're doing now. But if you'd like a little bit more of that coaching and interaction, then there's the option of the Zoom session right afterwards. So I hope that answers your question. So before we close, let's just draw our minds back to how we envision ourselves flourishing in 2026. Just call to mind your vision of yourself flourishing in 2026. I'll just leave a few moments for you and for all of us to think of flourishing. And as we go, I will offer you this closing blessing. May you flourish in this new year, and may your spirit find resilience in the days ahead. Amen. So I hope to see you again, either in one of these webinars that I'll do every now and then, a free webinar in which I share some teaching and some information. I might invite you to some program or something like that. But I really, really appreciate those of you who've come today. I hope it has given you something to carry with you into the new year so that you can flourish, so that you can thrive, so that you can find resilience in your daily life in the year ahead, because we all need it, don't we? We need to be able to find resilience for whatever comes our way. So with that, I will close. Thank you so much for your patience and your attention. And I wish you a very happy